Let me say good morning and welcome back to the People's Platform to Captain Gary Griffith. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Always my pleasure to be on. This is one of my favorite stations, right away.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that. It's always our pleasure to have you on because we know that anytime you are on, you have a lot to say. But where do we even begin, Captain Griffith, in terms of looking at this latest bacchanal? Sometimes it seems as though just as one bacchanal starts, another bacchanal has started right after that. You have said that it is not illegal or it is no crime for the Commissioner of Police to have bought sniper rifles for the SSA. I take note of that statement, but I'll put it aside. Where, in your opinion, should we even begin to look at this matter concerning Top Cop Earl Christopher?
Yeah, sure. Well, I certainly have no I look to defend or to protect Earl Christopher. Even when I was Commissioner of Police, I was very disappointed by how she was operating. I actually sent her on 2 years leave because she just couldn't keep up with my pace, which was noted because when we had international experts measuring and assessing persons to be eligible for commissioner, Earl didn't even come in the top 20. And then when I was commissioner, the pace I was going at, she couldn't keep up. And there's nothing wrong with it. This is not a blame or attack Earl Christopher. Everybody has a different category in their speed, their leadership, their management. But in this situation, it is totally unacceptable how this took place. I mean, the ball has been dropped badly. To start with, if there's anything, nobody is above the law. That's my first statement I made because I was almost sure after all of this that was done on a commissioner, it was virtually certain that this person had broken the law. You had all the evidence and it was just a matter to go to the DPP to have a charge. Unbelievable that those persons involved in the investigation, junior to Earl Christopher, they were really on a fishing expedition, and it started to give the impression now as if there's witch hunting. You can't go into an investigation on a sitting commissioner of police, and you're spending 3 days to see if you could find enough to then warrant that you could go to the DPP for a charge. What should have happened, because I tell you, and people will be their eyes will be open. Had I been commissioner of police, no junior officer coming up in my office, knocking a door and saying, "I'm coming to arrest you." I will put you in your place on what grounds? Tell me who's the complainant. Tell me what's the arrest. Tell me what it is I did wrong. And what would have happened, and if I was commissioner, as I said, nobody is above the law. What should have happened is the DCPs or whoever, the legal department, should have gone to the Police Service Commission and say, listen, we have an investigation that is pending, and Earl Christopher is a person of interest, and we think it is going to be beneficial to us that she be removed from office on full pay, on administrative leave, whatever you want to call it, to allow us to complete the investigation without any degree of interference. Earl Christopher will now be away from her office now, which will now give you the opportunity to pull her in for questioning and so forth. Not as a sitting commissioner of police with junior people trying to belittle that office. It's not just Earl Christopher they have belittled the office, and it shows unprofessionalism at the highest level. And then listening to them in that press conference to bring all of the other senior officers to stand up behind them, that was a show of solidarity to show that we are ready to remove Earl Christopher. Those officers behind were instructed to do so. Those who sat down, one is now going to be the acting commissioner of police. The same one who went in a church, started preaching and telling the public, do not be afraid, you need to be strong. And while saying that, wearing a bulletproof vest. And then while stating that, boasting that he is going to be the next commissioner of police before the Police Service Commission even made the appointment. Is it that there was inside information for Benjamin to have known that he was going to be the next commissioner of police? How was he so sure that Earl Christopher was going to be removed? So this has been a total disaster, a total mess. It is very unfortunate. And my take has always been that this has been going on this is not just Earl Christopher period. This started from Dwayne Gibbs and Iwatsky, where the norm has been, this Professional Standards Bureau has been one to undermine anyone who is senior to you. So the role now of the police service, the hierarchy is that the job is to try to target the king or queen, and your reward is to take their crown. And it happened with Iwatsky and Gibbs. It happened with myself. They knew they couldn't come after me because of my leadership style, so they decided to circumvent it by trying to feed lies and false informations to influence politicians who took the beat. It then went on Jacob, and they tried to undermine Jacob, so Jacob was thrown out. They're now doing it with Earl Christopher. When would it stop? The police have spent more time trying to lick up the one senior to them than trying to focus on national security. In my situation, for example, I was never a person of interest. I was never questioned. I was never a suspect. but they spent 80 police officers, over 500,000 police hours over the last 3 years on a fishing expedition to see if you could find something about firearms. That is how bad it was. No witness, no data, no evidence. Let's see if we could find something to lick up Gary. And they couldn't find anything because there was never anything. It was all a lie. So notice 4 years now, not one person has been questioned, charged, or arrested based on all of those reports from Stanley John and others. And not just not attacking Stanley John in any way. He just compiled information of lies by people who did not want to be named, because it is similar to the Scott Drug report. It's a bacchanal country that we love to compile audits with. It is rumored, we've been told, to smear the character of others. Earl Christopher, this is a similar situation. My take on the sniper rifles is that up to now, the legal department have not stated what it is that they were planning to charge Earl Christopher for. The only thing we're hearing is about sniper rifles. And my point being is that, everybody, I'm hearing David Abdul, I'm hearing everybody is an expert on national security all of a sudden. My very limited knowledge, experience, and training, being in Ministry of National Security Advisor, being in the Defense Force, working with the SSA, being a Commissioner of Police, I may have a little bit of more knowledge more than other persons. And I can assure the country that a sniper rifle is not a prohibited weapon. If you look at the Firearms Act, a prohibited weapon is an automatic weapon. A sniper rifle is not an automatic weapon. So as much as people want to scream and attack me, learn the law before you want to make stupid comments. And yes, it may be a ridiculous law. It is a sniper rifle. But in other words, a commissioner could give a sniper rifle to anyone because it is not an automatic weapon. It is a semi-automatic weapon. So that cannot be the reason why they would have looked to arrest Earl Christopher. If it is that there was an administrative blunder that may cause it for misbehavior in office based on where documents were being signed, if it is that there was a bribe, that is something totally different. But they have not stated what, and that makes it even more unfortunate. So my take has always been to find solutions rather than just to complain. And the solutions are, one, we need to shut down the PSB. The PSB has been instrumental in persons being there. There was an ACP who tried to destroy a previous DCP to get him charged because he wanted his job. He then wrote a fake report on another ACP who was supposed to have been a DCP, that is Wendell Lucas, and the report was a lie. There was another who tried to remove me, another tried to remove Jacob, to remove Earl Christopher. It goes on and on. The PSB has become that avenue. We need to remove the PSB, send the power straight under the Police Complaint Authority, give the PCA director probably become an ACP under the SRP, and put police officers under the PCA alone to investigate police officers. That will avoid this embarrassing situation that took place. And the second has to do with the selection process for deputy commissioners of police and commissioners of police. We have a situation here again. Previously, the only reason why Dwayne Gibbs got the most amount of points, and when I got the most amount of points, is because we had international experts fully qualified in the field. We have nobody in Trinidad and Tobago who is qualified to assess who should be a commissioner of police. Our media loves that. We have our Garvin Hira. They refer to him as a security regional expert. And if I ask them, anybody in the media, you all keep referring to him as that. Please state what is this expertise in national security and law enforcement. They will laugh at it. But that's how we are. We do so when you have the Police Service Commission now trying to select the commissioner of police by an assessment. The last time Earl Christopher, as I said, she got 30% less than others by international experts. She didn't come in the top 20. From somebody not coming in the top 20 to now being number one, it is because it moved from the international experts such as Penn State and the UK experts to Judith Jones and a financial consultant and an accountant. How could you know what a police commissioner should be? That is what is causing the problem. So the people we are selecting now should not be really and truly commissioners and deputy commissioners of police, and that is what is causing the problem.
You have given us much to think about in your opening salvo, Captain Griffith. I want to go specifically to these charges because you said that you did not see the validity in terms of the claims being touted about in the media. Everybody knows that there has been talk of 2 sniper rifles being brought in, and perhaps the Commissioner of Police should not have authorized that. And you are saying this morning that there's a misinterpretation of the law. If there's in fact a misinterpretation of the law, it's very scary, for want of a better term, or troubling, for want of a lesser term, that the police themselves may not know the law. If in fact it is a misinterpretation of the law. But you also spoke about this possibly being a witch hunt. Who do you think, Captain Griffith, could be behind this witch hunt?
Right. So the misinterpretation of the law. When I became commissioner, we were losing cases constantly because we had first-year law students in the police service calling themselves attorneys, bush lawyers basically, and they were making blunders after blunders. And I said, what kind of a banana republic police service is this? That's why, through the Attorney General then at the time, Faris Alwari, we brought in a team of civilian attorneys and we started winning cases. We started realizing that we were losing hundreds of cases daily all over the country because police officers wouldn't even turn up to court. And that's why we were able to reduce police absenteeism in court by 83 to 91% in the 10 divisions by putting civilian attorneys, making sure that when it is we go to court, it is foolproof, that we can make sure that it is so airtight that it will stop the leaks and stop the persons we are trying to prosecute, to make sure that they don't get a get out of jail free card. That is what caused the change, the turnaround, and the criminals started realizing that I know I could commit a crime, and now police will be there. Now there will be qualified attorneys there, and that is what caused the difference. And the criminals started saying, "Listen, you see me? Let me stay away from the crime because not get out of jail free card through the flaws in the justice system because of improper policing through a poor legal department will be there." That has all been removed. They've gone back to the civilian attorneys, and when you hear them speaking in that press conference, some of them want to pretend they are Ramesh Maharaj or Anand Ramlogan. They don't have a clue, but they talk the talk. And up to now, I said, listen to all the things that they said in that press conference. You can't say what it is that she did wrong. No, that is why I have to be careful, and all of us, we can't just, because initially when I heard it, I said, okay, well, it means obviously she signed in the wrong places. And I'll give you a quick example. In their witch hunt for Gary Griffith, when you bring in import of weapons, there are about a dozen customs forms that have to be signed by the commissioner constantly over a set of different weeks, about 10 different places. There was something with authorized officer and I signed it. And in their game of, we catch him because it said that position, that authorized officer is supposed to be a customs officer. So we have him. He signed the wrong place. They wanted to see if they could charge me for signing in the wrong place. That is not a criminal offense. That's an administrative blunder. What stopped them is that 5 commissioners before me and 2 after me were signing in the same place over the last 20 years. And so that is how this so-called law of misbehavior in office could be used in any way to local parlance to lick up somebody using misbehavior in office. So that is the concern with the legal department. They have not been able to pinpoint what is the crime. As I said, it cannot be for giving sniper rifles to the SSA. My take on it is, had I been the commissioner of police, I would have been a little reluctant because the SSA acquiring weapons, even though they have the authority, and then giving it to another agency could be a little untidy. But there may have been a reason for that. If it is you're bringing sniper rifles, Defense Force bringing in sniper rifles, the whole world will know. Instead, the SSA was trying to bring this in a clandestine manner to make sure that the Defense Force will have what is required to deal with a similar situation of a 1990, to deal with hostage negotiation, to deal with a situation if it is that people are holding persons against their will. So law enforcement agencies around the world have sniper rifles. So everybody needs to back off with this nonsense about this was a plan to assassinate people. Because if you want to do that, you don't bring in legitimate weapons through a legitimate port of entry, have customs signed, because when you do all of that, before it gets to the Defense Force, the police, or anyone, ballistic testing must be done. So this nonsense about plans to bring in these weapons to assassinate people is nonsense. If you want to do that, it's easier to get an illegal weapon in this country and to buy a doubles on a Saturday morning. So don't come with this nonsense about that was the plan. So trying to target Earl Christ and Roger Best with that nonsense is out the window. There may have been a concept of the SSA trying to circumvent the situation to bring it in because of the SSA being involved in intelligence, so it will be brought in without anyone knowing. Well, boy, who fooled Roger Best and the SSA in that? This country is just full of people with bacchanal. You're in a position of authority. You understand the degree of sensitivity and confidentiality. Instead, everybody has to whisper to somebody about something, and the mark bust. So every criminal knows now that we have brought in a sniper rifle. Well done. So that is the problem. And as it pertains to, that's the legal problem that's taking place. We do not have qualified, seasoned attorneys anymore in the police service that is causing these problems to take place yet again. And who would have done this? As I said, everybody wants the... And this here is totally unacceptable how it has taken place. Ulla Christopher, again, she is not the sharpest tool in the shed, but this should not happen to anyone's worst enemy. It is unfortunate. It showed her leadership as well. When you look, there's no way that I will be held for 3 days And when I come out, my attorney is speaking for me. I am not a young police constable. I am not a junior private. I am not a first degree attorney. I'm a commissioner of police. I will explain and bring confidence and but you can see that she's unsure of what is happening, which says a lot about leadership. Then you have a deputy commissioner of police who a judge stated that I am shocked that the people who abducted a citizen in another country are still working in the police service, and that person is a deputy commissioner of police, and I have nothing against that individual. And as I said, and then you have another one putting on a bulletproof vest, preaching, and then telling people that he's going to be the next commissioner of police. That is what we have to endure. So as I said, it is always based on persons trying to see if they could remove the other individuals, but this manner to embarrass a commissioner of police and the office, this should have been done by them writing to the PCA, explaining that she's a person of interest, she would like to question her, and then she would have been sent on administrative leave to avoid all of this embarrassment.
Captain Griffith, you've spoken extensively about the question of lawyers and the question of lawyers not being experienced. There are people this morning who are of the view that maybe this is an engineered distraction. The old talk is that this is a distraction that was put into place in order to distract away from Colm Imbert's licking, which he received last week from the Privy Council. For want of a better term, you would recall that the Privy Council overruled Colm Imbert's case that the motion brought before the court by the Auditor General ought not to be challenged and ought not to go ahead. Having said so, are you of the opinion that this is organic in terms of deficiency in the police service, or are you of the opinion that this could be an engineered distraction?
Oh, definitely not. I mean, we love to come up with all of these Jason Bourne high-end plans and plots and all of that, because we watch too many movies. Do you really think that a government or an organization would go out of their way to cause further embarrassment, to cause further perception of incompetence by doing something like this? This has affected us not just locally, internationally. We are speaking about somebody who holds the highest position in law enforcement in our country being perceived as a person of interest and being arrested. I mean, it can't be more embarrassing than this. So this is definitely not an orchestrated plan to cause diversion. This certainly cannot be, because, I mean, you're trying to say it's politicians. Which politician or political party will go out of their way to cause further embarrassment for them? Because people will now say, but you all selected Ola Christopher, you all selected Suzette Martin, because they went to Parliament. Now, granted, the UNC did the same as well, so the UNC can't point fingers. I remember Julian John was blowing trumpet about Ola Christopher, say she's the greatest thing since sliced bread. We have articles with Julian John stating, Ola's crime plans are fantastic, and I said, please name a crime plan. She couldn't name anything. But that has always been the standard. If you recall with the UNC, they removed Dwayne Gibbs and they gave us Stephen Williams. They didn't want to vote for Gary Griffith and they gave us, but they voted for Ola Christopher. So it says a lot about the selection process, even of the opposition. So whether it is PNM or opposition, all 41 must accept responsibility for what they have imposed on the country. And this certainly is not going to be one of the belief that this was done deliberately by the government to cause a distraction, because by doing that makes it worse. It gives the perception now that the government has total control of the police service to manipulate something to such an extent that they could try to have a police commissioner arrested. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a major concern that this is tantamount to mutiny, that a decision like this could have been made to go after a sitting commissioner of police without due process and without going through a proper system. Because, as I said, all it took was to have this matter sent to the commissioner, was to send to the Police Service Commission and have her sent on administrative leave. That was not done.
You referred to the opposition a short bit ago, Captain Gary Griffith, and you spoke about Jolene John, but one of the other members of Parliament, Dr. Rudal Munilal, is saying that the police is in chaos as a result of the top cop's arrest. Are you of the opinion that this matter has in fact left the police service in chaos, or do you think that it is being contained at a certain level?
Well, every single time when you feel that the police service, it can't sink low, it cannot get worse, something else happens. The only unit or organization that continues to sink further than the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service on a weekly basis is Manchester United. And I mean, it is unfortunate. You'll think that it can't get worse, and things just keep happening over and over and over. So yes, I do understand where he's coming from. And what is unfortunate is that no one in the police service is stepping up to try to look after the other 7,000 police officers. How do you think they feel? Who's your leader? What is going on? Is it blue? Is there going to be a blue on blue? Is there going to be them versus this side versus this side? This could cause disenchantment. It can cause division. It can cause people not knowing who's actually your boss, who you're supposed to report to, who you're supposed to respect, who you're supposed to side with to make sure your throat doesn't get busted. And all of this is all based on no one stepping up to speak on behalf of the officers. The 7,000 officers, most of them, they have done nothing wrong. They are just seeing total madness going on upstairs, and they are now demoralized. Morale will be low. They're not going to be motivated. And that is why I will continue to press home the point to the public. Do not attack the police service. This is not the police service. This is based on bad management, bad organizational structure, and improper leadership. But the 7,000 officers, they are all putting their lives on the line on a daily basis. I ask the country, do not turn your back on them. Do not attack them. They are not the problem. The problem is bad management, bad administration, and poor accountability. It has nothing to do with the 7,000 officers. So, and to the officers themselves, I keep asking them, you need to hold your head up, do your job, do not be distracted by what you're seeing above. You know, there's a saying, when the elephants fight, only the grass is trampled. You're not going to get trampled, but people need to understand they are going through a very difficult period, and it is all based on poor administration and improper leadership.
Captain Griffith, Earl Christopher will be replaced via a parliamentary debate and a parliamentary motion later this week. And as you did mention, DCP Junior Benjamin, is scheduled or set to take the top cop position. You spoke about a solution to this matter and the need to find a solution. Are you of the opinion that given there has been no charge laid and given that you think that it has been a witch hunt, that the best option going forward is in fact to remove Earl Christopher?
Well, the Police Service Commission has no choice at this time because she is still a person of a subject of interest, a person of interest. She is still being investigated. The matter is not closed. And that's the sad thing. The public still have to sit back and wait because we do not know what evidence or lack of that the police have that would have caused this in the first place. But jump high, jump low, she is a person of interest. She is being investigated. And if that is the case, she should not be in office. Now, this is totally different to myself. I was never a person of interest. I was never a subject of an investigation. I was never questioned by the police. So because of all of that, there was never a need for me to have been removed as Commissioner of Police. I left because the president was incompetent and failed to understand the law and do her job to forward the acting merit list to Parliament, which is what removed myself and McDonald Jacob. So my situation was totally different. Yeah, but in this situation, the sitting Commissioner of Police is still being investigated. She is still seen as a person of interest. And if that is the case, the most appropriate thing is to do what should have been done before, which is making sure that she was removed from office on administrative leave. We're not targeting you. We're not telling you that you're guilty, but to make sure that there's a degree of transparency so that when you are cleared, if you are cleared, no one could say that you use your office to try to influence the outcome. That is what should have happened before, and now they're trying to do it after the horse has already bolted, and now trying to close the door by stating, well, okay, now we will send her on administrative leave. So she needs to remain on administrative leave until this matter has been settled. And if it is that she is cleared and there's nothing, somebody needs to be fired. The legal department, if it is a DCP, whoever was involved in orchestrating this, because to decide to go after a Commissioner of Police in such a manner, you need to be very sure that you understand the law. But it goes right back to my concern of the incompetence of the legal department. When you have individuals in that legal department doing something like this, common sense would have dictated that you tell the DCPs, if they don't have the common sense to understand, let us write to the Police Service Commission, because the DCPs also report to the Police Service Commission. The DCP could have sent documentation without the knowledge of the COP. This is what is happening. This is a serious matter. We bring it to your attention. And then the Police Service Commission would have acted and told Earl Christopher, we humbly ask that you go on leave until the matter is resolved. You don't have a sitting commissioner. You go up to the 6th floor, you embarrass her, you send her down to St. Clair Station, you keep her there for 3 days. Why you kept her there for 3 days? What, you thought she was going to flee the country? And up to now, you can't even state what is the crime that you claim that she committed. So all of this is very embarrassing. It shows incompetence at the highest level, but it goes back to my point that the Police Service Commission, they have no training, knowledge, or qualification to assess persons to be selected as Commissioner of Police. Not the acting appointment. This present situation, acting appointment is today for tomorrow. But for substantive Commissioner of Police, you cannot have persons, somebody who was an accountant and somebody who was a speaking consultant and a retired judge. You know nothing about assessing a commissioner. That is why, again, I said Ulla Christopher couldn't come in the top 20 when experts did it internationally. And she moved from top 20 to number 1 because Judith Jones and these others who are totally clueless in knowing how to, I don't even know how to assess to select a commissioner of police. But so that is where we need to remove that to avoid having situations as we continue to have over the last few years. Putting square pegs in wrong hole.
Sure.
Sorry.
You are viewing the People's Platform right here on Real TV. Our guest this morning is the political leader of the National Transformation Alliance and the former Commissioner of Police himself, Captain Gary Griffith, speaking to us on the issue surrounding the arrest, so to speak, the detention and questioning of top cop Ulla Christopher Harewood, which took place last Thursday into this weekend. Captain Griffith, we've spoken extensively about that. It would be remiss of me to not ask you, though, about your views on the ongoing state of emergency. The month of January is over. We began the month of January with the declaration of a state of emergency. The police, who are in the spotlight this morning, are of the view that immense progress has in fact been made. They are pointing to a number of detentions, a number of what do you call it, seizures of varying quantities and varying values. Are you of the opinion that the state of emergency has in fact achieved its purpose and has been successful?
Well, yes and no. If it is to reduce crime, the answer is yes, which is what will take place in a state of emergency targeting criminal elements, which is not what the SOE was about during COVID. So this is something totally different. So you would see a reduction. The no is that my concern, yet again, it shows total lack of leadership or even laziness or incompetence in the hierarchy of the police service. What is being done now? Why you needed the politicians to tell you, hey, wake up and get up and do your job. So we call it an SOE. All the things that are taking place now could have been achieved without a state of emergency. That's why I kept stating before and after. When I was National Security Advisor, I was now with my family going on Space Mountain in Orlando. Kamala Prasad Visesa called. She said there are 9 murders in 5 days. I said, Prime Minister, a state of emergency is not a crime-fighting tool. It should not be used like that. She insisted. I came back home, and we had the state of emergency. End result was a total embarrassment. 500 persons being arrested unlawfully. It cost the state and the taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars, blah, blah, blah. I didn't want to see a repeat of that. But the same things that are being done now, intensified policing, more patrols, more operations, working, that could have been done without a state of emergency. So what is the only difference of a state of emergency is, one, it gives the police powers of arrest, which I think is very dangerous. The defense force, and those soldiers now should just be working in tandem with the police, which is part of their role and function as an aid to civil power, supporting the police whilst the police do the charges and in any operation. And the other one is that allowing the law enforcement agencies to kick down the doors and to hold persons indefinitely. But by doing that, it's because of lack of intelligence. So there's nothing different. It meant that the police was sitting back, being very idle and not doing what is required. And this is no fault of the 7,000 officers. I worked with them. They worked with me. Public trust and confidence in the same police service was 59% 3 years ago. Now it is 8%. And the main thing of it is not just reducing crime. What will cause public trust and confidence is high visibility, making sure that there are checks and balances to measure their performance and make them accountable. Could the public say that they have seen more police visibility? Can the public say that when I call 999, I'll get an immediate response? Is the public stating right now, do I feel safer? The perception and fear of crime is just as important in reduction as crime reduction itself. And if those things are not looked at, well, then the SOE value is not going to be there. The value is going to be diminished. So you need to take away the perception and fear of crime. You need to make people feel safer, and you need to make sure public trust and confidence in the police service can be increased. Right now, it is at the lowest ever, 8%. Before, it was 59%. So when you hear Kamala Prasad Visesa and others speak about Gary Griffith being a failure is when it is you fail to look at data, fail to accept facts. And very soon, I tell you, it is going to come to the point with the UNC and myself, when the UNC continues to boast about under their watch crime reduced. Under the UNC's watch, I recall these things, and the country will recall these things. You shut down the OPV, you shut down SWOT, you shut down the blimp, you got rid of Dwayne Gibbs, you appointed Stephen Williams, you called a state of emergency because you couldn't handle crime, you appointed Rishmi Ramnarine, and 500 persons were arrested illegally. Under Gary Griffith as the Minister of National Security, which is the 2 years that the UNC boasts about, we got the damning vessels for 1.2 billion less than the OPVs. We've had the National Operations Center, the Commissioner's Command Center, the Emergency Response Patrol, the National Security Special Operation Group, the community policing, bilateral agreements with Colombia and Venezuela, the highest reduction in serious crime in 31 years. So when persons want to speak about where the country must go at to try to reduce crime, they need to just take a look at the blue. Not the blue that the UNC has stolen from the NTA, but the real blue which belongs to the NTA.
It's interesting that you're speaking about taking away the blue or looking at the blue. It brings me to my next question, Captain Griffith. Even as we end our time this morning, there's so much taking place politically. We are seeing where the People's National Movement is undergoing its walkabouts and its screening. We see where the UNC has started its Monday night forum. Is it your intention to still contest the marginal seat of St. Joseph? What is the latest with the NTA in the context of local politics?
Well, and you would see it's leadership by example. Yesterday, for example, we had my candidate in Aruka Lupino. She had a walkabout, and guess what? The political leader was walking with her for several hours. That is the leadership that the country needs to see. You can't be a political leader wanting to be a prime minister, and you can't walk, you can't go out there, meet people, be on the ground, but you want their votes. You recall in the local government election, I walked every day for several hours. My walking in one day was more than every other political leader combined for the 3 months during local government election. Not because I'm fit, but because it's leadership by example. I am not prepared to have my candidates go out there and try to influence people to vote for us, and I'm not prepared to be by their side. That is the type of leadership the country wants, not just for a political campaign, but to run a country, to serve persons. That is my ability, and that's what I intend to do. So we went to Lupino, we did a walkabout. There was a parang festival in St. Joseph. I think it was run by the UNC, but what happened is when I walked in there, every single person started supporting me, shaking my hand, taking photos with me, and they actually forgot about the UNC candidate who was sitting on like a little pommy bun in a corner. Nice guy, but UNC will get the reality check to understand that anytime you're in a 3-horse race, the UNC has never won an election in 36 years. And if it happens and the UNC decides to lose, I am asking all UNC supporters yet again, remember, do not blame Gary Griffith and the NTA. We have tried our best. We have sent correspondence. We spoke to Kamala Prasad-Visesa, and she has refused. She has said point blank, I do not want to work with the NTA. So if it is that she leads the UNC into 15 years in opposition, in local parlance, they look for that.
We have been speaking with the political leader of the NTA and the former Commissioner of Police, Captain Gary Griffith. Captain Griffith, you have given us much to think about this morning, and if I could just review your main points. You said that when you were the top cop, Earl Christopher, in your opinion, could not keep up. You said, however, that the ball has been dropped badly and there is the impression of witch hunting by the TTPS. You said that the police cannot arrest her and then go and try to find something that they can pass on to the DPP. You're of the opinion that this approach taken by the TTPS in the detention and arrest of Earl Christopher was absolutely wrong. You said that people have been belittled in that office, and you have also said was there inside information for DCP Junior Benjamin to even be removed or to even be, put into the position, not removed, but put into the position of Commissioner of Police. You said that the Professional Standards Bureau undermines whomever is above them, and you said that police seem to be spending at that level more time trying to lick up their seniors than in fighting crime. You are of the opinion that the legal department has not said what they may change in terms of the approach to Earl Christopher right now, and you spoke about the issue of the weapons being brought in and said that the sniper rifle being spoken about is not an automatic weapon. It is, It is not automatic, but it is semi-automatic, and it is therefore not illegal. You said that there's the need to shut down the PSB, the Professional Standards Bureau, and you said that there's no one in Trinidad and Tobago who's qualified to determine who should really be a commissioner of police, you spoke about that being a substantial problem. You said that there are many legal blunders which were made before, and many cases, as you came in, were in fact lost as a result of these legal blunders. You said that the SSA was trying to bring in this sniper in a quiet manner for the defense force to use, and you rubbish claims that it was part of any attempt to do any assassination in this country. You said that this particular situation with the top cop is not an engineered distraction, and that no government will go about this to cause further embarrassment to its tenure. You said that this situation with respect to the police force and the top cop can be tantamount to mutiny, and that 7,000 officers throughout the TTPS have done nothing wrong, but they are now demoralized further, and you call on the country to not attack the TTPS in these circumstances. You said that the Police Service Commission had absolutely no choice but to remove Erla Christopher because she's a person of interest, and you said that she must remain on administrative leave until she has been cleared. Captain Griffith, on the issue of the SOE, you said that the SOE has in fact resulted in a reduction in crime, but that the measures taken by the SOE could have been achieved without an SOE itself. And you said that police before were sitting back idle, not because of any issue on their part, but because of what you described as a lack of leadership and a fault of the senior structure of the TTPS. And in terms of the political front, you cleared up the fact that the NTA is in fact walking about and quite active on the political scene. Captain Griffith, I want to thank you this morning for these points and considerations you've given us on these very important matters.
My pleasure.